Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? You beat me to it.
Just, yeah, trying to be on top of things.
Oh, well, good for you. Good for
Mm.
you. How are things going? You look like you've changed
Ah,
your hair since I had saw you last.
changed my what?
Your hair since I've saw you last. It looks like it's lighter or bright.
I think I might have colored it since I saw you last. It was getting pretty bad.
Yeah, that hair of
Mm,
ours, right? I
I
during
know.
COVID, I went gray. I decided to just cut out the coloring and try and go gray. So I did, and I'm okay with it.
It looks great. I'm like looking forward to having enough gray to do that.
Right.
Like I really like just don't like my kind of natural mousy color. So, but
Well,
my mom has the most beautiful gray hair. So I'm like, when I can get there, that'd be great.
exactly. My mom did too. It was just a beautiful silver, and my daughter-in-law cuts my hair, and she cut my mom's hair, and she would always say, "Your hair is not going to be your mom's color. It's going to be a little bit more mousy. It's going to have a lot more darkness in it, and more. It won't be as bright or something." But
Hmm.
it turned out to be like my mom's. So I'm okay.
Oh,
I mean, it's a little darker
yeah.
than what my mom's was, but this part at least is nice and kind of bright and cheery, not that, dark, mousy gray. So
Yeah.
we were
But
pleasantly surprised.
I like how it has kind of a contour to it or something. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I got when I went through a phase where I was really sick, then I lost all my curl. And we didn't think I'd get it back, but it's coming back. So that's very helpful.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah,
so interesting how our hair changes at times like that. It's I don't know.
well, it has so much to do with your nutrition levels, like your
Mm.
fingernails too. I can tell when I'm needing a different nutrient in my nails because they'll start splitting, they'll start getting denty, they will start getting soft, and I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
something's happening again. I need to get back to the doc. So my nails can really be a very big temperature, a thermometer for me to figure out something's not right.
Oh,
Isn't that
that's so
crazy?
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any before we actually, I mean, we are recording already, so we're just gonna edit this whole thing out. But do you have any questions? I'm so sorry you couldn't find your questions earlier.
Oh, that's go and they're probably lost in my box. I tried to search, but I don't think I have any questions. I don't have a great example for the end, but I have somebody like I have the woman that brought me to the Freedom Wand that, if I saw her today, I would be introducing it to her. So
Okay.
um I think it ends up being a good commercial for you. So
Oh, well, that's okay. We we've I've I've changed a little bit around here. I've pivoted just a little bit, and some of that has to do with reduce stress. On my end, it's like,
Mhm.
okay. So, and I've realized too that, we've and I'll put this into the intro, and I'm actually just printing it out because I just finished retyping it actually, because I'm like, no, that was put together a few months ago. Well, the first time we were going to have our meeting, and we've kind of pivoted around here to be more holistic. So instead of always just focusing on freedom in the bathroom, people need freedom in all their whole area, every area of their life, right? So we're
Mhm.
focusing now just to be here to solve a problem, whether your problem is, if you want somebody to listen to about your finances or your faith or your family or your fitness, we're just here to help you find freedom and help you guide you wherever you might be able to go if we're here, because we end up talking to quite a few people that call us, and so instead of just talking about toileting, we're just going to open it up to however we can help you is how we want to help you. So, we might not have your answers, but we might not be able to put you in touch with somebody who does, right? So
Very cool.
just,
Yeah.
just and it just takes a little bit of, I don't know, we're just pivoting a little bit. So at 62, it's like, okay, the pressure has to get released a little. How long have you been
Yeah.
in business now? Well, you'll tell me your story, but.
Yeah, well, I've been in business for 2 years,
Okay.
so not that long. Yeah. I'm trying, yeah, I was surprised actually. It feels longer for what that's worth when I just got my like renewal for my LLC. Um, yeah, so I've been in OT for over 20 years. So I feel like I've just seen like a really nice wide spectrum, and I guess, I'm really, but I'm realizing right now I'm like finally doing it right, like the way that OT should be done, and getting to go into clients' homes and really focus on the things that they want to do, and not just kind of these prescribed activities that we expect them to do in a clinic. Um, that feels really good, and having that autonomy to choose what choose to work 50, 60, 80 hours a week, as you know.
Employment is, we won't bring this up in our little interview when we start the actual interview, but it is not to be, it's not as easy as people think it is. Because
Yeah.
the pressure just never goes away, right? That
It
pressure,
never goes away. Like
no.
that's probably how I missed your emails. Like I'm trying to just set like it, and this is way too late in the day, but like at 8 o'clock, I'm turning the computer off. It's like that's yeah. So I'm also trying to like think about, what other revenue streams or how else can I, pivot. Um, because it's just a lot. It's a lot to coordinate all the patient care, and I love that I'm very high touch. I think that's like a selling point for me versus your hospital therapist, but I'm getting texts from clients at all times of the day and night. So
Uh-huh. There's
yeah.
a big exchange for all of that, and you have to think, to get those different revenue streams, you really do have to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's just not easy. Plus, when you have so much to do and you're the only one doing it all, to think about something else can be a little scary, and can be a little overwhelming. I'm just trying to add a couple new products because we have a gal in Michigan that created a walker. She calls it rollator, of course, but a walker that instead of the seat, or instead of the basket underneath the seat, there's a toilet seat. So it doubles as a high-rise toilet seat for those that need it
Oh,
in public, or, every time, so they don't get stuck. Like my Aunt Loie got stuck on the toilet, right? Because she could not get off.
yeah.
It's such a low toilet.
Yeah.
She could not get off in the public. So, but then you've got your toilet seat right there, and it's got underneath the seat, it's got a little area where you can carry your disposable wipes in case you get anything on your seat. You can just sanitize it and wash it all off before you leave the bathroom again. But it's pretty clever. So I'm adding that, and I'm adding a pain cream, because so many of my people deal with so much
Mm-hmm.
pain. So this is a pain
Mm-hmm.
cream that has hops in it, not CBD oil, but hops extract, and it works really
Oh,
well. I've got it on my neck at the moment because I hurt myself raking and trying to get my leaves picked up. So it worked really well. So I've been trying to get that added, and it just takes time. Everything just takes time.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know why this never occurred to me earlier, but there's an OT in Grand Rapids. I know she's over in that area. She calls herself the Equip Me OT on Instagram. Do you know her?
I have heard of her. I didn't realize she was in Grand Rapids though.
Yeah. So I think that you guys would be, I don't know if I have her email. I know someone that knows her. If I could probably finagle an introduction.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
There's another one that's got something equip in her name. Right now it's not coming to my mind, but anyway, yeah. Uh it's all fun. It's all fun, and it's all good. And so what the interview here is all about is just to help you as well, and to just get some information out to patients and clients a different way of looking at things, a different way of how you work compared to how other people work. So just really do that for yourself as well. And we'll just see how it goes. You know, we try and keep it around the official interview to be around 10 minutes or so, because that's about the maximum that people want to listen. And that gives us enough to be able to pick things out of and make a reel, right? You know how to do that or
Yep.
not yet? I don't know how to do it yet.
I mean, I know that it exists. I've done like more easy ones like from my phone, but yeah.
I've done the ones from my phone where I don't have to crop them or anything like that. But when it comes to fitting it all together, not so much yet.
It's a lot.
It is. So here we go. We'll do our official start, and hopefully it'll go really well. I'm positive it'll go well. Hi, this is Deborah with Freedom Creators and the FreedomWand, and I am here today introducing Sarah Zerah. She is an OTD and an OTR, and she has been in business and been in OT for over 20 years. So I'm really looking forward to hearing her story and how she got started. We at the Freedom Creators team have always had a heart of helping people find freedom, not only in the bathroom, but we've also realized that they need to find freedom holistically with their families, with their finances, their fitness, their fun, and their faith. And so we are here and we're doing a little bit of a pivot to help people find that freedom in all areas of their life. And so we have been focusing on mental health and realizing that mental health and finding that freedom gives dignity, not only just in toileting and grooming, but in how it improves the patient's outcomes. And so that's what we're talking about, is those that have limitations due to either range of motion issues or any type of other limitation due to arthritis or dementia, TBIs. And so we are here to welcome Sarah to see how she tackles those issues for you. And Sarah is the founder and lead occupational therapist with Moxie OT. And their mission is to specialize in the treatment of those who have had a stroke or brain injury in the Chicagoland area. Sarah is passionate about using evidence-based treatment approaches to help her clients return to the activities in life that are most meaningful to them. And her desire is to help her clients get out in the community, enjoy dinner out with friends, find that freedom like we've been talking about, be with the kids and the grandkids, and helping them get back to their real life. We will post all of Sarah's links and the information in our newsletter. And so welcome, Sarah, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so glad I can see how OT and Freedom really can collaborate, and we're really focused on that holistic care for folks. So I'm really excited for this conversation.
Oh, that's awesome. How about telling us the story behind your company and your company's mission? How did you get started and what brought you to doing it the way you're doing it, which is a little different than when others do?
Yeah, thanks so much. You said, I've been in OT for 20 years. I've worked throughout the spectrum of care, and I did my bachelor's of occupational therapy back in the olden days when OTs could have a bachelor's degree. And I was really, really happy treating my clients for a long time. But as many other OTs and other folks have realized throughout their journeys, that we can do better, right? And so I really wanted to think about how can we better serve our clients, and I chose to go back for my post-professional doctorate, occupational therapy doctorate. I think about 13 years into practice. That was with probably 5 to 10 years of dithering over what I was going to do next. And then I really enjoyed that opportunity to really dive into the evidence and look at how we're serving specifically folks with stroke and brain injury, but also, folks, any folks that are requiring rehabilitation services. And I found that even the folks that the hospital would say somebody had a great outcome, they're not getting back into the community and the life that they lived before their rehabilitation, right? Maybe they can care for their home and make a simple meal, but they're not returning to work, or they're not getting back into the fun things that they used to do in their community. So that's really with many, many other steps and divergences along the way, brought me to Moxie OT. It takes a lot of moxie to get to back to life after a stroke or brain injury. And I really love this opportunity. I work with folks in their homes, in their communities where they're doing those things that they need to do and want to do in a day.
So do you find it a lot more beneficial to be working with your clients in their home instead of in a professional setting, more in your office or in a physical therapist gym or location? And how do you see that that is such a big benefit?
Yeah, in occupational therapy, we often talk about the context and how either the social context or the environmental context really impacts how we do something, right? So maybe my favorite spaghetti pot I always keep on the top shelf of my cabinet. And if I'm trying to practice cooking with my OT in their really nice adapted OT kitchen, and the spaghetti pot is kept in a really appropriate place in an easy to reach place, the OT is not going to catch that, oh, well, the problem here isn't that the client can or can't reach, it's that, it's the environment and where the spaghetti pot is placed. So that's just kind of a quick example of why it's really beneficial that I'm working with folks in their own context where they do the things that they need to do and want to do. And it can really be kind of enlightening for folks to do it. It's kind of one thing when you can do something again in that contrived environment where your therapist is coaching you along, and another thing when you're in your home and the TV's going and your spouse is asking you questions and all the other things in our lives that impact our ability to function.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. It's interesting that you'd said that they would pass their evaluation really well when they're in the hospital, but then going home, it is totally different. I would agree with that, because you've got steps that you didn't think about, or you've got those little divider little inclines, or a little bit of a different just in your floor, or a rug that's going to cause you grief. That's what happened with my parents, is rugs caused them a lot of grief.
Yes, and there's some very interesting evidence about how dangerous rugs can be, actually.
Yes, and my mother was very Dutch, and very Dutch has a lot of rugs everywhere. So she was very reluctant to get rid of those rugs until she realized how dangerous they were for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately sometimes we have to learn through experience, right? And we have some trips and falls. And
how do you feel that independence in areas of their life, whether it's just not just in the bathroom, but independence in doing things, really helps improve their patient outcome and improve their healing going forward?
yeah, so as we talked about, and I feel like I didn't give my spiel about what exactly OT is, and I do feel like that's always important because it's a strange term. But we help folks do all of the activities that they need to do in a day, right? So often in a hospital or nursing facility, we're working on folks with their self-care skills, grooming, toileting, dressing, all of those things. But we also help folks with returning to work or caring for their home or their families or the fun things that they like to do in a day. And and then those things intertwine, right? Like if we can't use the restroom on our own, then we can't go to our card club or back to work or things like that. So so in occupational therapy, I also like to think about that the toileting, grooming, self-care not only impact outcomes, but they actually are the outcomes that we're measuring, right? So in hospital and skilled nursing facilities, Medicare actually requires that patients be evaluated on their self-care skills. And OT can provide that training. or other strategies to help people to be more independent with toileting and other areas of self-care. And I just also, this is that nugget I love to throw out all the time, that research shows that OT is the only hospital spending category that reduces hospital readmissions, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense and leads to those other outcomes, right? So if folks can toilet themselves safely, if they can use the restroom without falling, if they can care for their skin appropriately and not get skin breakdown, then they're going to be less likely to need to use the hospital. So there's kind of like that, like Medicare cares about it because of this. And then also, right, as I mentioned, in OT, if you can use the restroom, then that opens up so many more doors for you to be able to go out into the community and do the things that you really enjoy doing in your day.
Yes, that's exactly right. A couple of points that you made. We've had people call back on, and one lady in particular, she kept getting UTIs, and she kept having to go back into the hospital. And once she got her FreedomWand, she was properly able to reach to clean well enough without hurting herself because she was overextending. She finally stopped getting readmitted with UTI. So she had to call me and let me know that. But that was very exciting for me to hear, because any little thing that we can do to help is just really great for us. That's why I created it, right? It's just to help people stay independent. I'm wondering if there is more education. So when I came out with this 15 years ago, admitting the fact that you couldn't reach your bottom to wipe was just a very bad taboo subject. Like women didn't talk about the fact that they leaked when Depends came out and all of that. And it's becoming a more the older that we are getting, the better the baby boomers are getting, the more open we are to talk about this. Now our parents are still not wanting to talk about it, but are you seeing a trend coming around where there's more education prior to people getting older? There's more open communication, there's more open education about talking about what's coming down the road, because most people don't want to admit that things are getting bad, or that they don't want to think they're going to get that bad. But education is freedom. So when we realize, if this should happen, there's this. If this should happen, then there's this. And I do realize too that a lot of people have called and said to me, well, I had to have this surgery and I had classes, but they didn't even tell me I wouldn't be able to have to have proper range of motion, right? So like rotator cuff surgeries, even if it's on your dominant hand, a lot of people have a really hard time reaching with their non-dominant hand. And so that kind of stuff's not talked about. Are you finding that more and more of this type of care, of these type of solutions are talked about earlier, so that people understand what they can do in case they do have that limitation?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think it speaks to what you were saying, and that it's getting better, right? Like we have more opportunities to talk about it, but there's still a lot of room to grow in providing that education. There are occupational therapists and other professionals like you who are creating groups for folks that maybe are, especially with like a progressive disorder, right? Where they have an opportunity to learn about expectations and I think a really important part of these groups is learning from peers, right? Because it's just when you're hearing it from somebody who hasn't been through what you've been through, it doesn't land the same. It's kind of like your mom or your teacher. I always think of that Charlie Brown voice in your ear. But the Charlie Brown kids can hear each other, right? Because they're peers. And so I think that's one really great place where people are getting the information that they need because they're learning it from each other. And somebody might say, you know what, I had a little leakage too, and this is what really helped me. And I've been very impressed by how frank and open and honest folks have been in those groups. I do think too that doctors are starting to better understand, and occupational therapists. I think it's been hard for us. We're really great at solving that problem in the moment, but it's sometimes hard for us also to look down the road and see what to expect and how to serve people now before they get there.
Yes.
But I think that you're more likely to get like a prehabilitative consult, or you folks, I would encourage folks that are listening now to ask for that. So I think docs are doing better at sending you to rehabilitation at the time of a diagnosis if you've received a progressive diagnosis. But you can also ask for that before you have a back or a hip surgery. And I do think that can be so beneficial. If an OT can introduce some strategies or pieces of equipment that might be useful for you after surgery. If you think about in that moment after surgery and what a high stress moment that can be for you, you might be in pain, you might be scared of falling, you might be scared you're going to move the wrong way and re-injure yourself. It's going to be really hard to learn to use a new piece of equipment at that time. But if you got the chance to practice in a safe, quiet space before your surgery, it's going to feel a little more familiar and come back to you faster and easier in that stressful moment.
That's so right, because the practice makes perfect no matter what we're doing, right? And
Yeah.
and when you're in a lot of pain, what I've noticed with my clientele that give me a call is that when you're in a lot of pain, your patience is low. Your patience with yourself, your patience with other people, your frustration level is out of the world. This world is over the top because it hurts. And so if you can practice with these types of tools prior to being in pain, you're going to get really good at it. And then you're going to understand some of the dynamics of what you could tweak a little bit differently or go from a little bit different angle, or, hold your body a little bit different. And you can perfect it before you have to, and before you have all that pain to tolerate at the same time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have any kind of a story that you'd like to share? One of your most favorite stories about how you've helped someone before we end?
Sure. And, I was reflecting on thinking about this before our interview, and I was thinking about the woman that brought me to the FreedomWand. I knew that we needed more options. We needed something better. And so I was researching some options, which is what brought me to your website. And I've been so appreciative of getting to connect with you. And so this woman, she had significant chronic back pain. She really struggled with those tasks like wiping or putting on your shoes. And she'd found some strategies for herself, like she found a specific pair of shoes that she knew she could always get on. But for her, what we found was using a bidet was a great solution for her toilet hygiene. And I'm really thankful that bidets have they're much more affordable now. They're easy to install on a standard toilet. You don't have to have that weird other toilet next to your toilet. And they're more common. So I think it doesn't feel or look strange when a guest uses your restroom. But the thing with a bidet is you can't take it with you. So she did still kind of have that limitation of what if I need to use the restroom while I'm out. And, now that I found the FreedomWand, actually, maybe I should give her a call and tell her I have more options now. Cause I think that, that would be a really great, opportunity for her to have a portable option when she was outside of her home.
Well, thank you so much. We've had a lot of phone calls and emails or messages that said, I hardly ever left my home before I had my FreedomWand, and now I'm free. And so that was one of our best. That just came in last week, actually. So that was very exciting. Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so very much. And again, Sarah is from Moxie OT in the Chicagoland area, and they specialize in helping you live more free inside your home, and they will come and do home visits for you. So we so appreciate you coming on board with us, Sarah.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was great to talk to you.
Yep, you too. And you have a wonderful rest of your day and a fall and holiday season. I can't believe it's almost the holidays already.
Thank you so much. You too.
Yeah, bye now.